Good evening and welcome to Channel 8 Sports and East Brunswick High School football. Hi, I'm John Meggiolaro, being joined by Jim Allinder and Phil Hill. For us guys, the season opener. Even though East Brunswick's played 4 games, this is the first one we've had an opportunity to cover due to the weather. Right. But let's get to the game. Jimmy, let's start with East Brunswick. They come off a stunning loss to an Edison team. They lost 8-0 last week. The 3 of us were at the game. Your thoughts based on what you saw and also what you've gained from talking with Marcus Borden?
It was a devastating loss for a number of reasons, because they had opened with a loss against Cherokee, came back to win against second team, Saraville. Okay, and now having lost to Edison, they're 1-2, and it really puts them in a desperate position of being able to qualify for the the state playoffs. They're going to have to wait for somebody else to lose and then win all their remaining games. So perhaps the priorities are a little bit different this year. I think East Brunswick is going to change a few things tonight. We're going to have to watch and see. But they're just simply not that type of team that could do the things that they did last year with the passing offense.
In addition, they suffered a major injury, a major loss with Matt Pazinko going out with a knee injury last week.
That's correct, and also Pete Page.
Pete Page.
And those are 2 losses that East Brunswick can ill afford. They're not deep to begin with. Both of them sort of shine on defense, which is where East Brunswick was very, very talented. Pazinko being a major linebacker, Page being a cornerback. They're going to have to be replaced. We don't know by who, quite frankly. Certainly, they're just going to have to make some changes and see what they can do. Marcus Borden, the coach, has been having a rough time this year, needless to say. 2 penalty flags thrown on him, 1 at the Cherokee game, 1 in the Edison game. I talked to him about that, and quite frankly, he says, I'm just going to have to button my lips up and not say anything.
Sure.
But I'll tell you what, this is a tough season for him because he's had a lot of success in the past, yet this is not the year, at least the year has not started off the way he had thought. Tonight is a new night, though. You know, they're going up against a Perth Amboy team that Phil will talk about in a second that is reeling from a 33-0 defeat from Madison Central.
Yeah. Phil, speaking of Perth Amboy, historically, for years, Perth Amboy has been a nemesis of East Brunswick. A couple years ago, East Brunswick was rolling along, clicking, and Perth Amboy knocked them off at home. They're back here. Jerry Janczek's the coach. We talked about that last year. He's got a young team, and he also has Darryl Cross.
He has Darryl Cross. Spoke with the very affable Jerry Janczek, and I'll tell you, he's not down. He said we lost a big game against Madison Central. Turnovers. They had 5 or 6 turnovers, but there were no long sustained drives by Madison Central. So he feels that his team can get back in the game with East Brunswick. In order for the Panthers to win, they have to stop East Brunswick from the long sustained drives, and they have to cut down on the turnovers. They definitely have to get Darryl Cross in the game.
Yeah.
Darryl Cross, you might remember 4 years ago as a freshman, knocked East Brunswick out of the state playoffs when he ran for about 150 yards and scored 3 touchdowns. Yeah. He can hurt East Brunswick. If he gets a step, he's gone. Jerry Janczek has to figure out some way to get Cross to the outside and let him use his speed.
Rumor has it, gentlemen, and I think all 3 of us heard it coming into the booth tonight, that there's going to be a change of philosophy on offense for both teams. Phil, let me start with you and Perth Amboy.
Well, I'll tell you, Perth Amboy, Jerry talked about coming up with a few new wrinkles, and he said they may use the wishbone tonight. It's amazing how what success can bring. Madison Central has turned everyone's head around. So he feels with the type of offense he has, he usually runs out of the multiple eye, and he figures that to take advantage of Darryl Cross's speed, he's going to go to the wishbone.
And Jimmy, almost the same thing applies for East Brunswick.
Yeah, and I had not heard about it, but now that I think about it in the few minutes that we've been dwelling on this, I think it's going to be a great move. I think it's tailor-made for East Brunswick. When you think that Troy White's major attribute is running, he's very, very quick.
That's right.
And I think what we have to be concerned about is a week enough time to prepare oneself for the wishbone. You've got Greg Rulo back there, Pat Casanelli, and Todd Picard as real good blocking backs.
Yeah.
And they're tough kids, and we're just going to have to see how it works.
Well, we'll be here to show it to you, and we're glad to be back. Stay with us, East Brunswick and Perth Amboy. We'll have the kickoff in just a moment. Well, we welcome you, East Brunswick, Perth Amboy. As we said at the outset of the show, always a tough game for the Bears. And certainly, as we know Jerry Janczek personally well, this is a big game for him for several reasons. And I think the Panthers are going to be ready for it.
You know, John, I posed that question to Marcus Board, and I said, you know, Amboy always gives you a difficult time. He challenged me on it. He said, quite to the contrary. He says, aside from that one loss 3 years ago, and it was the most devastating loss for East Brunswick in the sense that it knocked them out of the state playoffs, he says, we've handled Amboy fairly well. So he's confident about this game. He's confident in his ability to beat Perth Amboy. And we shall see this evening.
I'll tell you, the coaches come in the game with a slightly different perspective. I talked to Marcus, and I asked him about coaching against Jerry Yunchuk, and he said last year it might have been a big deal, but this year it's not so important for him. It might be more important for Jerry. I talked to Jerry, and Jerry says, yes, this is sort of his personal homecoming, and he'd like to do well in front of the crowd, his home crowd.
Well, you see Troy White, number 7, and Greg Rulo, number 40, out at the center of the field with the officials and the captains from Perth Amboy.
They will be two key figures this evening. 7, Troy White being the quarterback, and Greg Rulo being the fullback. Both play important roles on defense also. Rulo more or less runs the defensive set from his linebacking position, and we'll keep an eye on him. He'll probably have a lot of tackles. Has to stay healthy, though.
I would imagine Rulo is going to play more of a part on offense this week than last week. I don't know if there was a change in philosophy or an injury factor, but I personally was anticipating Rulo to carry the ball more and didn't see much of that.
Well, John, we saw him last week, and you're right. They have to use Rulo more. If, in fact, White is going to be more effective on the outside, they got to make them respect the inside game, so they got to use Rulo more.
Good point. Perth Amboy has won the toss. They'll receive. They'll be moving left to right on your screen. They're in the visiting white jerseys. Obviously, East Brunswick in the green home.
And as you would normally expect with a team that's 1-2 at this point, and had thought they would start out a little better than this, I don't see a heck of a lot of emotion on the East Brunswick side of the field. You're looking at the huddle right now as East Brunswick prepares to kick off. And we'll have to see as the game begins, because emotion does play a large part in the way of high school football. I think Amboy looks a little bit more excited.
Well, we're about ready to go.
Boy, they're going to have to keep down the penalties too, John. 100 yards penalized against, let's see, Edison. Was it just last week? 100 yards penalized, 192 on the season. 11 penalties last week.
Carnes, number 3, will do the kicking for East Brunswick. Cross will be back deep. He's the main man, as Phil mentioned. They want to get the ball in his hands. He's number 32 for Perth Amboy. And he's joined in the backfield by number 12, that's Luck, and number 30, and I don't...
That's 30, oh, okay, yes.
I don't have a number on number 30 or a name to go with that number.
30 might be Tony Mitchell.
Could be. By the way, Kearns kicking off, we didn't televise it, but in the Saraville game 2 weeks ago, set a field goal record for East Brunswick, 49 yards, a launched one. From what I understand, it was like a missile.
It was.
That just went over the uprights and established a new record for East Brunswick kicking. And they had some pretty good company there, huh? Considering it's Josh Miller and a bunch of others.
All right, we're ready to go. Carnes, low kick. Luck will field it. They reverse it to Mitchell. Mitchell will be taken down at the 23-yard line, and Perth Amboy will go on offense.
John, quarterback coming in is Alcevedo. Guzman, I'm sorry. First name is Alcedi. It's going to be a tough one.
We'll call Mr. Guzman.
Yeah. We saw him against Madison Central, and if given the time, he does have a good arm, and he has some good receivers that we'll watch.
Guzman is number 4. Cross behind him with, I believe it's Mitchell. Luck goes in motion to the right. Cross off tackle. He'll pick up about 3 yards, bring up a second down.
Perth starting with split backs, neither the wishbone nor the I formation. So Jerry Yunchuk has a lot of different formations.
Well, again, if East Brunswick does have a major strength, it is on defense, and those linebackers, there's a bunch of them. Picard, Kammerer, Pazinko, of course, is out. Rulo.
2nd and 7. Again, split backfield. Luck motion once again. Guzman will keep it. He'll pick up a few, bringing up a 3rd down.
I think that was Casanelli that was in on the tackle.
Well, that's been the early strength of this East Brunswick team is the linebackers. The linebackers pursue very, very well.
Very little game. Let's call it 3rd and 6. The ball on the Perth Amboy 28. And we'll see if they put it up in the air.
And we could look for number 12 here, Keenan Luck. They like to go to him a lot.
Luck now goes in motion back to the left. Guzman rolls to the left, looking. He's got some room. He's going to keep it, but he'll be short of the 1st down.
Boy, they closed in on him real good.
Perth Amboy will they send out the punting team?
And there was some excellent pursuit. The defense did penetrate well.
Looks like they're going. It's going to be 4th and, let's call it a long 2. The ball on the Perth Amboy 31.
I'd be surprised, John.
Yeah, I'd be surprised too, John.
Still sending in players on the Perth Amboy side. Some confusion.
They're not going to get this play off. Or they're going to have to call a timeout.
And they will go into a punt formation.
There it is.
And a delay of game, certainly, as Jimmy called.
Wonder why there was confusion on that.
There was confusion, and I think Jerry Youngchuck just decided rather than call the timeout, take the 5-yard penalty. We're going to punt the ball anyway and hope to get a good punt off.
That'll bring up 4th and 7. Back deep for East Brunswick, number 42, Pilato. And I think that's Casanelli, number
Casanelli.
33.
And, of course, watch for the reverse, which is a trademark for East Brunswick.
Lopez to do the punting for the Panthers. Good snap. Gets off a short kick. Pilato at the 50. Keeps it. No, gives it to Casanelli on the reverse. And he's pushed out of bounds on the Perth Amboy side of the field. So East Brunswick will start off a good field position. I don't know about you guys, but I always hold my breath on that reverse.
The sea yellow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And East Brunswick, first offensive opportunity. 9:01 left in the first period. No score from J. Doyle Field. Full house backfield.
Yeah, that's a wishbone, all right.
White. Rulo. Rulo pick up 2. Stopped at the Perth Amboy 40.
Now, what I observed last week with Madison Central, and I don't think their linemen are any more talented than East Brunswick's offensive line, was that they surged ahead. As the game wore on, Perth Amboy got tired, and we'll have to watch for that.
They give Rulo a yard. Let's call it 2nd and 9. Again, that full house of wishbone. White keeps. Season opening. Down to the 35-yard line.
And you see there, Troy White's speed made the decision to take it himself.
Well, I'll tell you, he looks like a natural in that wishbone formation. He really does.
Bring up 3rd and 4 for the Bears.
Do you think that Jerry Janchek was concerned about this or even thinking about this?
I don't think he was thinking about the wishbone being used against him again this week.
Davis and Lung split out. Casanelli.
They're going to be short.
Short of the first down.
And Oriole Gret in on his 2nd tackle of the game, a big number 75.
Do not think there's any question that the Bears will go for this, needing 3 yards deep in Amboy territory.
It'll bring up 4th and 3. Ball resting on the Perth Amboy 34. White keeps looking to turn upfield, and he's snuffed down. He's going to lose yardage.
Cross.
I'll tell you, Darryl Cross coming up very strong, making a nice tackle along with Corrette.
Phil, you know, a lot of people are thinking that if Darryl Cross is going to be a Division I player, it's going to be on defense.
As a defensive back.
And you can see why right there. His speed came up
very strong.
So the Panthers will take over 1st and 10 on their own 35. Again, Guzman at quarterback. He's got Mitchell and Cross in the backfield with him. Guzman keeps, pitches it out to Mitchell. Mitchell fumbles the ball, I believe. Recovered by Perth Amboy, though.
I'll tell you, that's the big thing. Of course, that wasn't a wishbone formation, but anytime you're pitching that ball and you're not used to it, it's dangerous. It's going to cause turnovers. So it's something that we might watch for both sides of the ball.
About a 3-yard loss will bring up 2nd and 13. They're back on their own 32. That is the Panthers. No score, 6:25 left first period. Almost had 2 men in motion. That's Cross in motion.
Boy, he turned up too quick.
There'll be flags on it. Guzman throws it out of bounds. That may be a flag as well.
Could have been called. I mean, there was not a receiver in the area, but looks like Luck turned up the field a little early.
And clearly one of the most disliked penalties that you can have. Coaches hate that. Actually, there should be no reason for it whatsoever. They should be moving back away from the line of scrimmage when they're going in motion. This way to make sure that they don't turn up too soon.
See if East Brunswick accepts. They're talking it over with Rulo.
They're going to take it back.
And they'll move them back. It was procedure against Perth Amboy, 2nd and 18. Perth Amboy now on their own 27.
That's curious, Phil. You know, they had an incomplete pass. Had him with a 2nd and 12. Would have been a 3rd and 12. Now, if Amboy completes a long pass, we'll have to see.
I formation. That's Lopez in front of Cross. Little option. Guzman keeps it, trying to turn the corner. He'll cross the 30 and be taken out of bounds. And back to about the original line of scrimmage.
And again, good pursuit by the Bear defense.
They're quick to the outside. Well, this is going to be a grind 'em out game.
Third
Not sure
down.
we're going to see too much passing this night.
3rd and about 12 for the Panthers. Again, I formation. Guzman drops back, looking, trying to set up a center screen. He does to the tight end. They'll be short of the first down. That was Ronell Johnson, number 82.
Yeah, he's a dangerous one. It was well conceived, and Guzman put it over the top like he should. It's just that the pursuit from behind was able to grab him.
I'll tell you, one more step, though, and Johnson gets to the outside, and he's gone.
4th down, 4th and 2.
Well, they could be going for it here.
Casanelli drops back.
45 is the punter. He's not in.
It's Mitchell and Cross in the backfield.
And they're in the wishbone.
With Irizarry, number 48. Cross stopped immediately and will lose yardage. East Brunswick will take over on the Perth Amboy 40.
Yeah, that play had disaster even from the beginning. It was not a good handoff. I think the ball was sort of fumbled by Darrell Cross, and he was not even able to find any light.
And he was hammered.
So the Bears, again, with excellent field position, looking to get the first points on the board tonight. 5 minutes left, first period, no score.
If you're going to try to move the ball, you better not do it on East Brunswick's middle. They still are tough in there.
Wishbone formation. White keeps it, follows Petchar. He'll pick up 3.
So we have backs rotating in and out here.
Casanelli and Rulo will come out.
Right.
Pilato will go in.
Along with Petchar. And you've got Dave Christensen in.
Dave Christensen, number
Sophomore.
34. Petchar and Casanelli are the backs. And that's Petchar with the ball. He'll cross the 35, get to about the 34, bring up a 3rd down.
Well, the one drawback of the wishbone is that the passing situations become more obvious, it seems to me, because the quarterback has to deliberately drop back, and the defensive backs can see that, Phil.
Well, you're right, Jim.
3rd and 5. White looking, rolls to his right, getting some pressure. He's going to put it up. Intercepted. He was looking for Ted Lung, and the ball was picked off. I didn't get a number.
Number 30.
It was Mitchell, I believe, right?
We have to believe it's Tony Mitchell because we don't have a number 30. We do have a 33.
Okay, so there's the situation right there. White goes back to pass, and 2 defenders are just waiting at the 10-yard line for the pass, so there was no deception whatsoever.
I called it as Ted Lung. It was actually Glenn Leonard, the intended receiver, number 37 for East Brunswick. Ball picked off by Mitchell, and so the rally is snuffed out, and Perth Amboy will take over 1st and 10 on their own 18. Guzman, quick pitch out to the left to Cross, turns the corner. If he didn't step out, he's gone, but he did.
And that's what that's what Perth Amboy is looking to do. They've somehow got to get Cross loose.
You're right, Jimmy, and I wouldn't be surprised if they come up with a little flat pass. They just got to get him with a step on the defenders. So you're going to see a few pitches, but I wouldn't be surprised to just get him in the flat and dump a pass off to him.
Second and 1, Cross picks up 9. And I'm sure he put a scare in the heart of Marcus Borden there. This is Cross in motion. Guzman looking, has some protection, now being pressured. He's putting it up deep, looking for luck.
Ooh,
oh, it is caught.
It.
Yes.
Mercy.
I think that was Cross. It was off Castanelli's hands.
It's a tip play.
Just the athletic ability.
Yeah, Long was the first one that reached the ball, and then he was banged by Casanelli, jarring the ball loose, and Cross was there waiting for it.
Just a exciting play.
And I'm sure Jerry mapped that out.
Big first down for Perth Amboy.
Certainly gets them out of trouble now. They're in East Brunswick territory for the first time.
Right. 2:53, first period, no score. 1st and 10 on East Brunswick 35. Panthers in white. Guzman spins, keeps.
Nice move.
And he'll pick up about 8 yards. It's amazing what one play can do, Phil, in terms of sparking the team.
I'll tell you, it can pump them up real quick. Guzman, not a terribly fast quarterback. He has a few moves, but he's not really fast.
They give Guzman 6 yards, so let's call it 2nd and 4. Ball now on the East Brunswick 29.
The clock's moving fast, John.
Irizarry and Cross now in the backfield. Guzman pitches the Cross, left side. Trying to turn a corner. Will not be able to do it. Casanelli coming up with Pechar.
Excellent pursuit by the Bear defense again.
Right, and it is good. There's somebody down for East Brunswick on the other side. Guzman looks like he committed too early on that. He more or less eyeballed Darrell Cross, and you kind of knew that Darrell was going to get the ball. The East Brunswick defenders saw that and came up on the angles real quick. Let's see if we can pick up that number, John. East Brunswick already smitten by the injury bug with Pazinko out of there, Page out of there.
You're right, and injuries is a part of the game, yeah. You just hate to see him. As you mentioned, Matt Pazinko, a big loss for the Bears, and the young man, Page, hadn't played ball for 2 years, came back for his senior year and ended up with a couple broken ribs, and, you know, you just hate to see that.
Have we been able to determine who it is?
Well, he's up. It's Casanelli. I guess he has to stay out of the game for a moment.
He has to come out one play, I believe.
At least.
Panthers will come up to the line, 3rd and 5. The ball sitting on the East Brunswick 30-yard line.
So you see Johnson on the bottom of your screen, flanked out wide. Guzman is a very deliberate quarterback. From when he gets the ball, you immediately know what he's going to do because he looks at the person that he wants to either throw to or give it to.
Guzman setting back, rolling to his right, steps up and throws. He's looking for Johnson in the end zone. Right off Johnson's helmet. And Cross almost pulled it off. I'm sorry, not Cross, number 42. That's
actually number 12, John.
I'm sorry, Luck.
Yeah. Boy, another one of those bouncing plays, huh?
I'll tell you, hit him right in the face mask.
4th down. Strong arm, as you can see.
Oh, yeah.
The kid can put the ball up.
Given time, he can air it out.
Luck's a dangerous receiver.
Having a difficult time picking up some of the numbers. It's probably clearer on the set than it is up here. Here we go, Perth Amboy, 4th and 5 now from the East Brunswick 30. Guzman being pressured, he's gonna be sacked. Petchar, fumble.
Well, it was a 4th down anyway.
It'll be East Brunswick's ball.
Boy, they came charging.
And
excellent pursuit. Nice defense by East Brunswick.
I tell you, Todd Petchar in there making a physical tackle.
One of the more emotional players for East Brunswick this year, Todd Petchar.
And the Bears will take over with 1:35 left first period.
Another surprise for the Bears this year has been Mark Wolfskell, number 56. Kind of new on the scene, and he's been playing in the middle there and doing an excellent job. We have a timeout.
Equipment timeout.
Okay.
Rulo, and they've replaced him. The clock starts up inside of 1:20 now. First period, no score. East Brunswick, Perth Amboy. East Brunswick will have it on their own 38. They're coming out with the wishbone. White's got it. He turns the corner. He's into Perth Amboy territory. First down.
Whoa. And I'll tell you what, that's about the best gain that East Brunswick has had in about 10 quarters, I think.
I tell you, White kept it, but he had it back on the outside there that he could easily have pitched it as well, but he did the right thing, kept it and picked up good yardage.
Inside a minute. Ball now on the Perth Amboy 37, 1st and 10. Full house backfield. White keeps again. And he'll fight his way for about 3 yards. Deceptively strong is Troy White.
Well, he is strong, John. He's a pole vaulter for Doug Ty's track team, and if you're a pole vaulter, you got to have good upper body strength as well. So
right.
He's a tough kid.
He's good on those plays. I'm wondering just in the back of my mind about his durability.
2nd and 6. White picks up 4. Inside handoff. That's Christensen.
He's the sophomore.
And I think he's got the first down.
Good-looking runner.
I'll tell you, I like the way he went through that line. Had a nice lean on him, moving forward with the legs turning.
First down, East Brunswick. 10 seconds to go in the period. They may get this play off. And they will. White has it, keeps it, turns the corner. Pick up maybe a yard. And that'll be it. First quarter here is over. It's in the books. No score. East Brunswick, Perth Amboy.
Well, John, let's see. I guess we're going to have to give him about 4 on that one.
We'll take a look at the East Brunswick cheerleaders as the teams change ends of the field.
East Brunswick able to get off 12 offensive plays, 11 on the ground. The one pass being intercepted by Perth Amboy.
Well, it's clear they're moving the ball rather well. There's no reason for them to stop doing what they're doing. They're picking up good yardage, and this is what Jerry Yonchuk was afraid of long, sustained drives. And the Bears are picking up 4, 6, 7.
Meanwhile, though, you get a sense of Perth Amboy's potential explosiveness. That one play where Darrell Cross was able to get to the outside. If he hadn't stepped out of bounds, he would have been off to the races.
And you see, Guzman has an arm, and with Luck and Ronell Johnson and Cross, all he has to do is get that ball out there.
So this game was not safe. Oh, we got a good crowd here tonight now.
I think one thing somewhat surprising for me is the overall team speed of Perth Amboy. They're matching up pretty well with East Brunswick on the outside. But here we go, 2nd and 6. As Troy White picked up 4 in that last play to close the quarter. That's Rulo inside.
Up the gut. And I'm not surprised that East Brunswick is trying to exploit the middle of the Perth Amboy line. Amboy has some big people there. But they block.
Well, they're doing the smart thing. They're just trying to keep them off balance. Some quick dives up the middle and then hitting to the outside.
Rulo picks up 3 to make it 3rd and 2 from the Perth Amboy 19. White is nailed right at the line. In fact, he'll lose some yardage. No one was fooled on that play.
Now they call the fumble.
It was a fumble.
Wow, drive snuffed out right there. Second turnover for the Bears. First one being the interception, now this fumble by White.
Well, the Perth Amboy Panthers have some experience there. These guys have been on that line from last year, and they're showing their aggressiveness.
So Perth Amboy will come up with the turnover, and they'll have it 1st and 10 on their own 21.
A little bit of confusion. East Brunswick forced to call a timeout because they didn't have men on the field. Wonder why? Because apparently some of the players on the bench were not aware that a turnover had occurred.
Right.
You got to be sharp on these types of situations. This is where the staff has to be responsible for who they're supposed to be looking after and get their people ready to roll.
Timeout East Brunswick. 11:09 left here in the second period. And so far it's been a game of missed opportunities.
That it has.
You're right, John. The Panthers had a golden opportunity after Darrell Cross made that spectacular catch, brought it down to about the 37-yard line, and they did nothing with it.
While we have a timeout, I do want to reiterate the fact that we have not been broadcasting the games, not because of a lack of desire on our part, but because of weather. And as you know, we do not have any sheltering up here, and so we have to be very careful in terms of equipment. And we hope that we'll catch some luck the rest of the season and be able to bring you the rest of the East Brunswick games. Anyway, we're ready to go. Perth Amboy, again, 1st and 10 from their own 21. Guzman has Mitchell and Cross in the backfield, I formation. And East Brunswick jumped offside into the neutral zone.
Sure, he was not brought offside, or tricked offside, if you will.
And Jimmy, you mentioned something at the outset of this game. Penalties have hurt East Brunswick thus far this year.
In particularly critical situations. They were kind of like the difference in last week's game, I thought.
So the Panthers will crank it up once again. This time it'll be 1st and 5. Ball now on the East Brunswick 26. Guzman, straight handoff to Cross. Cross dives over close to the 30.
These are tough yards.
And I'll tell you, Darrell Cross looks like he's running rather well. Most of his problem this year has been due to hyperextended big toe, and that can be painful.
He had negative 19 yards last week against Madison Central.
Irizarry in now in the running back slot in front of Cross in that I formation. 2nd and 1. Ball just shy of the Perth Amboy 30. Luck in motion. Quick toss to Cross.
They're waiting for him.
Casanelli comes up and drags him down.
Super tackle.
Yeah, it was.
Loss on the play.
It's easy to see that in situations like that, they're going to try to give it the ball across. So the linebackers simply key on him.
The loss of 3 yards will make it 3rd and 4. Ball back on the 27 of Perth Amboy. No score in the game. We have 9:50 left before halftime. Nice crowd on hand for East Brunswick. Guzman calling signals. And we had movement. The guard for Perth Amboy, left guard.
Right, John.
They called it this week in the Edison game. They missed it on that touchdown play that Edison scored on.
You're right, John.
And this is a rule which is different in high school ball than opposed to college. If a player goes into the neutral zone, he does have an opportunity to move back. I'm talking on the defensive side. If you move as an offensive player, of course, it's a penalty. But a lot of calls this year, seemingly so, on the defensive players that move into the neutral zone before the ball's snapped.
3rd and 8 for Perth Amboy, their own 23. Guzman rolls to his right, tosses it out, looking for number 44. That's Charles Smith, incomplete.
So, John, that brings up a 4th down situation, and now East Brunswick should be in a position to be in good scoring position.
Lopez is the punter, number 45. Phil, other than punting, do they have a place kicker?
Lopez
Lopez?
does the place kicking as well.
The reason I ask, if field goal may be the difference in this game at some point.
Well, we saw them in fairly good position earlier, and they didn't go for it, so his range must not be too far.
Castanelli and Pilato back deep for East Brunswick. Lopez, high snap over his head.
That could be a safety.
Ball is free.
My Lord, touchdown.
Touchdown, East Brunswick.
No, it's still free.
It's still free. We can't tell who has it. It's a safety.
Safety.
East
Gee.
Brunswick unable to fall on it.
Boy, it could have been a touchdown.
I'll tell you.
Oh, boy, let's see. Who is that? Is that Casanella? No, Lang.
Leonard, number 37.
Leonard. He had it, and the ball somehow squirmed loose, and that's the difference between a 7-pointer and a 2-pointer. But Bears will take it, though.
I'll tell you, they'll take it, but a missed opportunity for them because clearly the ball was sitting there to be covered by the Bears. Last week in the Edison game, we saw East Brunswick punter kick the ball out of the end zone to ensure the safety, and Lopez would have been wise to do the same thing. Fortunately, they got the break by recovering it.
Did we find out who recovered the ball for East Brunswick on that one?
Well, let's not lose sight of the fact that East Brunswick gets the ball back. So they'll get it back and go on offense again.
John, you just said it. Field goal or less than a touchdown could be an important difference in this game.
And, of course, Jim, the ball was recovered by Perth Amboy.
Okay, I'm sorry. If it was an East Brunswick player, it would have been a touchdown.
Well, it's the first game for us this year, and Jimmy's been doing too many soccer games. Here we go. Lopez will have his choice, and he's going to punt the ball.
And there goes the tee.
And I've never liked this, the free kick, where you choose to punt it.
Lopez gets off a decent kick. This will be Pilato at the East Brunswick 38.
Right up
he's going to
the
go
pipe.
straight up.
Yeah.
Still on his feet, taken down at midfield, but East Brunswick has excellent field position.
Phil, what would you prefer as the option?
Most people will take the punt because they say your players can see a lot clearer and so forth, but I've rarely have I seen someone punt the ball in that position and come away with better field position. I'd rather go back and kick it off.
Which is certainly an option. All right, the Bears, 1st and 10 at midfield, 8:40 to go. They lead 2-0. Wishbone formation. Rulo will fight his way for 2 yards. Moves it into Perth Amboy territory. Second and 8.
Boy, except for Cross, Amboy's playing up real close.
White fumbles it. He falls on top of it, but he'll get back to the original line of scrimmage. And that's the danger of the wishbone, Phil.
I tell you, it's tough for a young team that hasn't used it over a long period of time.
Right.
Referee timeout. Appears that Casanelli having some trouble with his equipment, his helmet, I believe. As far as we know, East Brunswick put this offense in this week.
They put it in this week, John.
So you can certainly understand some of the miscues and the timing problems that they're experiencing. Davis wide left, Leonard wide right. Again in that wishbone formation or full house backfield. White will keep it. He'll step inside and pick up a yard.
It's a curious play on a 3rd down long.
And they're sending out Staley, their punter, number 99.
Troy White easily the major ball carrier for East Brunswick. 9 carries. Rillo has 5.
I believe that's Cross back there deep for Perth Amboy. Staley gets it off, nice kick. Looking for the left corner. Good bounce. That's Mitchell, rather. He picks it up at the Perth Amboy 11 and gets maybe to the 12.
He paid for it. About 3 different East Brunswick players hit him.
Poor field position has been the name of the game for Perth Amboy tonight thus far.
Well, except for that one drive that East Brunswick mounted late in the 1st quarter or early 2nd quarter, they've really been stymied this evening. And let's blame it on the newness of the wishbone offense.
6:43 left in the 2nd period. East Brunswick on top 2-0. Perth Amboy will have it 1st and 10 from their own 13.
Right, of course, East Brunswick will be looking for the turnover here.
Guzman reverses, pitches it back to Cross, and Cross is hit after maybe a yard.
Boy, he's hammered.
I
have to say, too, over the last several weeks, I've been very impressed by Todd Petchar.
I tell you, Petchar and all their linebackers, John, have done a yeoman's job. They're not very big, these fellows, but they do come up quick.
I think the thing which impresses me about Todd Petchar is his emotional attitude out there. He seems to be one of the leaders on the field just by getting the team up and playing with aggressiveness.
2nd and 9 for the Panthers, their own 14. Cross goes in motion to the right. Guzman hands off to Mitchell inside, a flag, and that's generally holding in there, or a face mask.
It's against Perth Amboy, holding.
That'll move him back.
Yeah, that'll negate that gain.
Both teams playing it rather safe. No one willing to risk a surprise play of any sort. They're playing it fairly conservative.
It's interesting because Guzman did have some success, even though there was a couple of bounces in the air involved. But we do see that he has a good arm and he has some excellent receivers. I don't know why he doesn't send Carus out of the backfield more often.
That's a good point, Jimmy. And I thought Jerry Janchuk was going to do that more this year with Cross. Anyway, it's Mitchell and Cross in the backfield. Split formation. Cross will go in motion. Guzman again rolls to his right. Dumps it over for Cross. He's got him. 1st down.
Out of trouble.
And that's what we've been talking about. Get Cross out there, out in the flat, and dump a pass off to him. That wasn't the best of pass. That ball sort of hung up there for a while.
Yeah.
And if East Brunswick defender would have been there.
Well, it looks a little short.
I was a little premature. He was short of the 1st down. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 1.
The Bears do still have an opportunity to keep Amboy pinned back deep in their own territory, and this first down is not a given from what we've seen. These are tough yards tonight.
4:58 remains, second period. 3rd and 1 for the Panthers. Their own 23. They trail 2-0. Quick snap and a miscue. Guzman falls forward. The way things are going, he probably has the first down.
And he does.
Well, they not only caught East Brunswick off guard, but the rest of their line. That is Perth Amboy.
Well, John, I think that's intended. I think the quarterback probably does something with the center, and it's a quick snap, so it catches everyone off guard.
By the way, we have seen Troy White on offense try that quick snap, call his own quarterback sneak.
1st and 10 for the Panthers. Their own 25. Cross right into the line. Possibly 2 yards. A hard 2 yards.
Tell you what, East Brunswick's defensive line is beating Perth Amboy in the line there. I don't think there's any way to get around it. Amboy just has not had any success going up the middle on the Bears.
You got to believe the Panthers are going to try to pop one right now, gentlemen, with a pass.
2nd and 9. This may be the time. However, they're on their own 26. Down the line, there's Cross. Ooh. Big hole. First down and more.
He's gone.
Through. No one is going to catch him.
He fumbles the ball.
Lord.
I tell you, I haven't seen that for a while.
It's flag down 2. Right at about the 39-yard line, John.
And if you're Jerry Janczek, you're probably looking to suck a gas pipe at this point.
To say what else can go wrong.
Yeah. Clip called on 44. So 15 yards from that point. Bring it back to the 46.
44 is Charlie Smith for Perth Amboy.
Boy, you thought Cross was gone.
I'll tell you what happened. He tried to switch the ball as he was going upfield, and
You sure he wasn't preparing to spike the ball in the celebration?
Well, East Brunswick dodges a bullet there with 3:30.
Oh, gosh.
The ball will be spotted at the East Brunswick 47.
But clearly, that's what we're talking, the type of speed we've been talking about. If Cross, in fact, can get a step on his on those linebackers. If so, he is gone.
So negate the gain, but first down, John.
Quick slant, and he was into the secondary before you could blink. But it'll be 1st and 10 for Perth Amboy. 3:15 left, second period. Guzman. Razzle-dazzle, back to him. He's throwing it deep. He's looking for Johnson. Johnson's got it over
mercy.
Pilato. Touchdown, Perth Amboy.
Simply was beaten. Pilato was there, but Johnson had too much height on him and picked it right out of Pilato's hands. 46-yard touchdown pass by Guzman to Johnson. Nice touch on the throw. Had the distance.
I'll tell you, a flea flicker. Giving the cross pitch back to Guzman, and he hits Johnson. And it's not surprising when you figure Pilato's 5'4" and Johnson 6'2". He just used his height and took it away from him. Pilato played excellent defense.
Sure, they weren't surprised.
The
they weren't surprised.
Height got him.
It wasn't really a well-executed flea flicker. Cross was in the middle of the line, and the way Guzman was coming back on it, you sort of knew something was going on.
Not much you can say. It
Right.
speaks for itself. 5'4" against 6'2". He had him, as I said, defended as well as you could defend him, and Ronell Johnson just reached up, plucked the ball, and stepped in the end zone.
2:58 on the clock, second period. 6-2 now, Perth Amboy. Jerry Janczek out there with his offensive team.
Calling a timeout here, so you wonder if they're going to be going for a 1 point after.
And on that reception there, Ronell Johnson, Jerry Janczek says, this is a kid that last year ran a 5 flat 40, went out for track, and as a result, he's able to run a 4.6.5.
Yep.
That's quite an improvement.
Shows you what discipline and dedication can do for you.
All right, Perth Amboy will go for 2. Irizarry and Cross in that I formation. Guzman, it's not Guzman, I'm sorry, it's number 11, Carpenter, dragged down.
That was Bernardi, I believe. Scott Bernardi. Should have mentioned him earlier because he's been a tough player in the middle of that East Brunswick line and jammed right in there. 6-2.
Phil, any reason with going with Carpenter that you might be aware of?
Probably more of a sprint out. He's probably quicker, that's all. They're going for that 2-point conversion, so they're probably going to use him as a sprint out and try to pick it up. Carpenter, as you know from basketball, is an excellent athlete.
Well, the fireworks have been here in the second period. East Brunswick got on the board with a safety after a poor snap by Perth Amboy. And the Panthers have answered back on a 46-yard touchdown pass, Guzman to Johnson. The 2-point conversion failing, and we have a 6-2 score with 2:58 remaining here in the second period. East Brunswick will receive. Pilato and Casanelli are back deep. Lopez to kick it off. A little squib, onside-er.
I don't believe it.
Well, it hasn't gone 10 yards.
And East Brunswick will have it right there.
Sure will.
The element of surprise?
In the 6-2 game, I'm not sure with a whole half remaining.
Yep, Bears will take it at that point. I'm surprised that nobody even tried to fall on the ball.
Well, it wouldn't have made much difference.
Yeah, really, but this is high school football, and they don't know that.
Well, it would have made a difference. Actually, East Brunswick could have come and picked the ball
Picked
up.
it up
and
and
Yeah,
run
but
with it.
I guess I'm talking about Perth Amboy.
Yeah.
You would have thought with a live
Right.
ball there that they would have tried to recover it. So everybody's sort of hanging around wondering what's going on.
Excellent onside kick. It just didn't go the distance, but it had that kind of spin or English on it that you like to see.
And it certainly caught everyone by surprise.
Troy White now in a shotgun. First time we see that tonight. He looks to his right, rolls, under pressure, dumps it off to Kammerer, I believe, and they'll call it a reception.
No.
Yes,
Official,
it is.
Why was the official waving his arms?
No, incomplete pass.
Boy, oh boy, that looked like a completion,
It
didn't
certainly did.
Second pass attempted by White. First one incomplete.
Hurry up offense, again the shotgun. East Brunswick, 3 receivers to the right. White looking, outside he's got Lung, and Lung will have the first down.
I'll tell you, very few teams have been able to stop East Brunswick when they go to them trips. They put 3 receivers on one side, have White roll out, and he can pick out any receiver he wants, anyone that's open.
And that is the first completion. Perth Amboy timeout, John. Yeah, first completion by Troy White tonight. 1 for 3. That's a 16-yarder there. Gets him in the positive column.
Phil, a fan's question, if East Brunswick is successful, and they have been on that quick offense, why not start the game with it?
Well, I think you got to – Marcus Borden is using what's working, and the running game has been working for him. They've been picking up yardage against Perth Amboy. It's little by little, they just haven't been able to punch it in. And this year, I think Marcus's philosophy is we'll take whatever they give us.
2:42 remaining here, second period. 6-2 is our score. Perth Amboy on top. Perth Amboy has called a timeout.
Right, and the Panthers' timeout was designed to set up for this quick play. I think they have to have the defensive signal set. Of course, this gives East Brunswick an opportunity to call about 3 plays now.
The old Cincinnati Bengal approach to offense.
Well, they've had success doing that in a couple earlier games.
Okay, let's see if the adjustment is made to the trips. That's why Jerry Youngchuck was out there.
Here we go, shotgun. White takes a step, gonna keep it.
He's got
Gets
room.
to the outside. He's got the first down. And taken out of bounds, stops the clock at 2:34.
That's the option that the shotgun does give you, especially for a quarterback like White.
Well,
if he takes off, he doesn't see his receiver, he's just going to run.
Well, with the trips again, he lines him up on that side, sends everybody down, and he just follows behind him.
Here they go again. 3 receivers to the right.
Quite frankly, it's really not necessary to run this. It's just that they're having so much success. John, there's 2:34 left.
White will roll to his right, gets a block,
Ooh.
and overthrown, looking for Lung.
Right, same play as before.
But again, the receivers are open.
And now the Bears will huddle up.
White looking for the play. Plays are being called by Marcus Borden on offense. Here we go. Borgen and Leonard out wide right with Rulo in the slot. I'm sorry, not Rulo, Tenora. White won't be able to get this one off and is taken down behind the line.
Right, he's nailed. Carpenter was back there.
John Carpenter, safety.
3rd and 13 now.
Here we go.
And again, East Brunswick quickly. Davis comes to the right this time.
They have Carpenter at linebacker.
White will roll to the left, put it up in the corner of the end zone, intercepted.
And it'll be at the 1-yard line.
That was Mitchell, number 30, his second of the night.
I'll tell you, he turned around, played the ball rather well, turned around and made a nice interception.
Now let's do some analysis here. 1:58 left. You recall that East Brunswick had to take a timeout earlier at the beginning of the game because their defenders were not on the field.
Right.
This can be a situation where that haunts you.
Perth Amboy will have it on their own 1, 1st and 10.
Yeah, John, excuse me. I'm trying to remember if East Brunswick has any more, if they've used any more times out than that one right there. So it appears that they have 2 left.
You're right.
And the
Here we
clock's
go.
moving.
Carpenter is in at quarterback.
Oh, that's interesting.
He'll keep it. Fall forward for a couple.
Should call timeout here. I guess they're going to wait for the last 2 plays.
Clock running, 1:20. Second period. Perth Amboy certainly will make the most use of the time they have available to them.
Well, that play was ready to go at the 1:19 mark.
It's 2nd and 9 as Carpenter picks up a yard.
So if they don't, theoretically, if they don't get this play off right now, it should be called.
And there it is, Jim. So it'll be half the distance to the goal.
Right on it, Jim.
That's why we have you up here, fella.
This
Keep everyone
game
honest.
is not of yards; it's of inches and seconds. And right away, right there, you know, I mean, this can be the difference of field position and being able to get a play off.
But if you're Perth Amboy, you don't want to stop the clock.
No, you don't.
1:51 remains. I'm sorry, 51. 6-2 is our score.
Really, all the Bears have to do is stop Amboy on this, and they're going to get the ball back.
2nd and 9. Carpenter keeps it.
Ooh.
Takes a step and gets out near the 10-yard line.
Got to call your timeout now.
Timeout is called.
A lot of yards on that play.
And it is charged against East Brunswick with 45 seconds. Perth Amboy will be facing a 3rd and 4.
Well, you see Nick Spadafino out there with his defensive players, and this is important for him to stop, needless to say, Perth Amboy here. I have to believe that Perth Amboy is not going to do anything fancy. Perhaps let Carpenter take it again to play safe and hope to punt out of here.
Exactly. They have to stop Perth Amboy on this play, undoubtedly. Troy White has his helmet off on the sidelines. You kind of wonder why they should not be talking about some plays to be called, because they're not going to have any timeouts left.
The other thing I noticed before, Jim, is that John Emery is down on the field. John, who for years spent his time up in the press box calling the offensive plays. I don't know if that's just a change for this game or a change in philosophy. But we'll go here with 45 seconds. 3rd and 4 for the Panthers. The ball spotted at their own 8.
Big play in this game.
Carpenter at quarterback. We don't know what happened to Guzman.
Oops. Boy, I thought the line back moved.
Inside cross.
First down.
Yeah, he's got it.
That'll move the chains rather, and stop the clock.
I'll tell you, a very important first down
It
for
was
the
a
Panthers.
big play. Big play. You know, barring any, all right, that's going to do it for East Brunswick this half. Barring any turnover on the part of Perth Amboy, I think they would do well just to, hit the knee.
Use as much time. It's 26 showing on the clock and counting. Carpenter inside.
And that's going to be the half, John.
That'll do it as Mitchell falls to the turf with 5 seconds. So at halftime here at J. Doyle Field, it's an unusual score of 6-2, Perth Amboy on top.
And my question is, where is Guzman? Number 4, was he on the field during that sequence?
No, he wasn't, and
I really didn't see him along the bench, quite frankly.
it may have been just the ball control
Yeah.
offense, and that's why Carpenter was in there.
But East Brunswick getting its 2 points, John, on a safety. The offense not entering into the picture, and they didn't score the last game. And it's something that Marcus is going to talk about in the locker room at halftime.
Well, it will be interesting to see if they come out with that wishbone or if they go to that spread out offense. But we'll be back with the start of the third period in just a moment. All right, you see the East Brunswick team stretching as they come out for the start of this third period.
Meanwhile,
trailing 6-2.
Amboy is nowhere to be seen.
And we'll see if a penalty is charged. One thing I'd like to point out, number 53, Bill Heinlein for East Brunswick, has taken over the center position for Matt Pazinko and has done a great job tonight.
Yes, he has. One of the sensitivities for East Brunswick, if you will, was the center snap, which burned them in a couple earlier games. But they did well, and as you can see there he is. Quickly, the statistics, John. As you would expect with a wishbone-oriented offense, the run was the primary offense, and Troy White led the way at quarterback, carrying the ball 11 times for a net 32 yards. That's unofficial. Greg Rulo, fullback, was next with 5 carries, yes, for 11 yards, and then Christensen had 1 carry for 6 yards. White was 1 for 4 in the air, completing a pass for 16 yards to Teddy Long. And that was it offensively for East Brunswick. They got their 2 points at 8:55, John, of the second period on a safety, a poor center snap on a 4th down punt from Perth Amboy. Went into the end zone. The punter tried to fall on it, couldn't. There was a loose ball. I think one of the players for East Brunswick had a shot at it. What was it, Glenn Leonard, I'm sorry. And finally, they got 2 points out of it. That was an important play in the sense that East Brunswick was not able to score a touchdown because Amboy came back with a 46-yard pass from Guzman, Al Guzman to Ronell Johnson with just 2:58 remaining in the second period. They went for 2 points, was not successful, and that's where we stand, 6-2, John.
As you see Perth Amboy now out on the field stretching. I think one question for Perth Amboy, Phil, is Guzman coming back, or is it going to be turned over to Carpenter? That is the offense.
I don't think Guzman was injured, John. I didn't pick up on it, and I think they had Carpenter, as I said, in the game because he seemed to be first for the 2 points because of his speed, and later on, I think, just for the ball control.
Well, he's taking center snaps right there across the field around the 30-yard line. Guzman is just standing off to the side there. Meanwhile, East Brunswick has its own problems to sort out on offense. They really do need to get something going. We brought up the question as the teams left the field, do you continue with the wishbone? Certainly a 6-2 lead is not an insurmountable margin, and it appears that East Brunswick can stick with the conservative game, if you will. But they have to be wary of Perth Amboy's ability to strike quick, especially with Darrell Cross back there.
Well, they have to avoid the turnovers, too. They had 3 turnovers the first half. Interestingly, Troy White was involved in all 3 of them, had 2 fumbles and 1 interception, and they just have to cut down, certainly, on the turnovers.
But no doubt East Brunswick's defense has played well again. Really the 3rd game in a row that they've hung tough, if you will. And I guess a question that comes to mind for me is, particularly in high school ball, how long can they stay motivated, holding the line, and the offense, not moving the way they know it can.
For the whole season, if need be, John. that has been an East Brunswick trademark. They're going to receive the ball. That's right. They kicked off to begin the game. But I don't think the defense is going to be concerning itself with what the offense does. They get their glory in their ability to stop the other team.
Well, keep in mind, too, a lot of those offensive players are defensive players.
That's a good point.
So, certainly conditioning is generally not a problem for East Brunswick.
Well, the advantage may go to East Brunswick there. Perth Amboy definitely has 8 or 9 players going both ways. And so come the 4th quarter, East Brunswick may be a little bit stronger. We'll see.
Well, East Brunswick will receive to start off this third period. Pilato and Casanelli will go back. Pilato number 42, Casanelli number 33. East Brunswick will be moving right to left to start this third period.
And they would certainly like to get something started soon here.
Lopez will kick it off for the Panthers, number 45.
And I tell you, I'm surprised to see Darryl cross the trot out on the kickoff team, considering he does have a bad toe.
And here we go, Lopez. Short kick. This is going to be Kammerer, number 44. Gets a hole, crosses the 40, fights his way down to the East Brunswick 45. And East Brunswick has had good field position all night, and they start the third period that way as well.
And I tell you, with Scott Kammerer, that's the name that we haven't heard up too much today. You had that one pass, disputed pass that we thought he was reception, but they didn't give it to him. But otherwise, they haven't gone to him today.
One thing interesting, I don't know if we pointed out the first half, but they've taken Scott Kammerer and on occasion have moved him to a guard position. So he's playing on, at times, on the in the interior line. He looks as though he's at a tackle slot right now. Anyway, from the bone, Troy White spun around, will change direction. He's got some room. And it'll be close to a first down. I think it'll be just short.
Good play by R.J. Davis. He was in a very vulnerable position to throw a clip on the other side, but he held his ground and did not touch the, actually just made a nice little curve block on him to describe that. And looks like White is going to be, what? He got it, huh, John?
He got the first down.
Okay.
Let's give Troy some credit. A nice move there to pick up that first down.
And here we go in hurry-up offense.
1st and 10. East Brunswick from the Perth Amboy 45. Wishbone. That's Petchar up the middle. I'm sorry, Mark Rulo, number 40. Greg Rulo. Mark graduated.
Mark is at the University of Maryland.
On a scholarship.
Rulo will come out. So the Bears opting to go with the wishbone as they start the third. Troy White will follow the fullback up the middle, pick up a couple.
Perth Amboy is really strong on the pursuit. Phil, you would think perhaps if East Brunswick can devise some sort of play to catch Amboy going against the grain.
Misdirection, I hear you.
3rd and 5. Flag down as White keeps the ball. Pick up a yard or two, but we'll see what the penalty is.
Probably an offensive motion play. Well, let's see. Camera points to Perth Amboy.
Procedure against East Brunswick. Move it back 5.
If they so choose. Well, let's see.
And Janczek signaling decline it.
I don't see why. 4th down with about 3 yards to go. You would think that they're would like to move them back. Oh, good Lord. They're going to refuse this.
So it'll bring up 4th. Excuse me.
Wait a minute, are they? They are going to refuse this penalty.
4th down.
What do you think of that, Phil?
I'm surprised, but
it'll be 4th and about 4. Ball resting on the 44 Perth Amboy as East Brunswick goes to the shotgun. White will roll to his left, looks. He's got his man, that's Lung, number 39. He's still on his feet.
Good cut.
Makes a nice cut. He needs a block. He's going to make it. Ted Lung, number 39, puts East Brunswick on top. 8-6.
Wow. He made a nice cut there. And that play has been working more or less for East Brunswick. In the first half, White was able to get that flare out on the receiver going out. So that play covers, what, 43 yards?
On for the extra point is number 3, Carnes. I believe that's Troy White's first touchdown pass, is it not, Jim?
We will check.
His second.
Second?
Okay.
White will do the holding.
Right. Certainly wasn't designed to be a touchdown pass. They were looking for the first down.
Kick is up. And it's good, and East Brunswick on top. 9-6 with 10:08 left here in the third period.
Well, I'll tell you, John, that's easily the best offensive play for East Brunswick that we've seen this year. Teddy Long, 5'7", 145-pound senior, and he's a alternating flanker, and he really showed us something there. Quite an exciting play.
He's a tough player. First of all, the seniors that have graduated from East Brunswick that were receivers last year, the receiving talent for East Brunswick has not had an opportunity to get the varsity experience. People like R.J. Davis and Kammer are not playing a lot of defensive end, or excuse me, tight end. So this is all new to them. And the remark that Marcus Borden said before the season, or actually after the Cherokee loss, is, I guess our defense is going to have to keep us in the game until our offense can get us around. And maybe this is the time for them to break out of it. Still relatively young in the season, this being the fourth game.
Carnes to kick it off. Good kick. That's cross in the middle at the 15. Looking to get outside.
He's dangerous.
And a nice return, bringing it up close to the 35-yard line. And Perth Amboy will take over 1st and 10.
And essentially fresh players for East Brunswick on the defense, except for Rulo in there, who goes both ways.
And Carpenter is in there.
A little confusion on the field.
Well, East Brunswick had 10 men on the field.
Here we go, 1st and 10 for the Panthers from their own 35. They trail 9-6 with 9:50 to go here in the third period. East Brunswick going ahead on a 43-yard touchdown pass, White to Lung. Carpenter, inside handoff. And that's Mitchell, I believe. It is. Mitchell will pick up 3. Bring up a 2nd and about 7.
And I would not think that just because Darrell Cross was able to get through on that one play, that Amboy is going to be able to exploit that all night, because that was just the exception.
They may not, but they'll certainly come back to it.
2nd and about 7. Split backfield for the Panthers. Carpenter keeps it, tries to get outside.
Good tackle.
And taken down, a flag is thrown.
Whoa, that is late.
Very late. The tackle was made by Craig Borgen, number 8.
I mean, there was not a East Brunswick player even close to that flag.
Tripping, maybe. A block below the waist.
Real late call.
And apparently happened on the other side of the field.
It did. So that'll move the Panthers back if East Brunswick chooses to accept, and it looks like they will. See the officials marking it off.
I honestly did not see the play. I mean, I saw the flag and I saw the Perth Amboy player down, but if the East Brunswick player was blocked below the waist, he was long gone after that. And it's one of those plays that you got to wonder, do you need to call it?
No harm, no foul, as Phil says. Here we go, 2nd and 23 now for Perth Amboy. From their own 23. Carpenter drops and rolls to his left. Gets away from one tackler and is going to be dropped for a major loss.
Yeah. Petchar was there first to get an arm on Carpenter, and then
Scott Kammerer.
Right, Kammerer came in and finished him off. A little bit of yards, John, to go.
It'll bring up 3rd and a bunch. And Phil, I don't see any major edge with Carpenter in there.
Well, we have to assume Guzman's hurt. We have to assume he's hurt. You're right, because Carpenter certainly hasn't improved this Perth Amboy team at all.
3rd and 30 to be exact.
I thought we were going to get to see Carpenter's arm for the first time, but he looked like he was trying to run all the way.
Luck in motion, I formation. From their own 15. Handoff to Cross.
Oh.
Boy, the Bears were waiting for that one.
Wow. Either Carpenter has no arm or...
Oh, gosh. Well, Guzman is standing over there by the side, actually sitting on the bench now. Helmet off.
Lopez will do the punting. And remember, last time in this formation, the ball was snapped over his head. Casanelli and Plato back for the Bears. And East Brunswick should have excellent field position. Low snap this time. Lopez
Whoops.
gets it off. They're going to call roughing the kicker.
Oh, mercy.
Now, well, wait a minute now. This is not going to be an automatic first down. So it looks like Perth Amboy will have to punt again. Unless I do not know the rules, and that's very possible.
I tell you, I thought the ball hit the ground on the snap. I thought the ball hit the ground.
And if it does,
if it hits the ground, then it's a live play.
that negates the, you got a point there, Phil. It did hit the ground.
Let's see how they're going to handle this one.
So,
Roughing the kicker, first down, Perth Amboy.
is it a first down? That's my question. Apparently it is an automatic first down for Amboy.
So they catch a break. They move him from their own 11-yard line
Phil, you have
out to the 33.
You have a legitimate question there. A good point. It's something I'd like to clarify after the game.
Carpenter will bring him out.
Boy, they get out of a hole there.
Arizari in the backfield with Cross. Cross, watch the fake. Here
Oh,
it is. He's
Luck's
throwing.
Wide open.
Luck is all by himself. He's got it inside the 20. And if he could have kept his feet, it would have been 6.
Easily, if he could have kept his balance, he would have been gone. Darryl Cross with taking the pitch in the backfield, the good fake, and then just coming up, throwing lefty.
Right, Casanelli bit on that, was sucked in. Thought Darryl was going to run the ball, and then, of course, East Brunswick has been keying on him all night. And it was just a good call to make.
Of course, throwing lefty is no great feat if you're a lefty.
What do we have here?
Officials timeout.
Boy, and just in 2 plays, we have a situation where the Bears were going to receive the ball on a punt, great field position. Now it's Amboy with a first down on the East Brunswick 20.
6:20 left here in the 3rd period. Certainly changes the complexion of the game a bit. East Brunswick on top 9-6, but Perth Amboy is at the East Brunswick 20. Carpenter, number 11, is the quarterback. He'll bootleg and pitch it out to Cross. Cross will make that turn and pick up 2.
Just got that off.
And once again, you got to really be pleased with the East Brunswick pursuit.
Again, number 8, Craig Borgen on the tackle.
Along with Casanelli.
Let's call it 2nd and 7 from the 17. Mitchell and Cross in the backfield. Luck goes in motion. Quick handoff to Cross.
All right, Bernardi there to meet him. And we're starting to call his number a lot tonight, John.
Scott Bernardi.
We're looking over across the field. There's Guzman, number 4. And he doesn't appear to be hurt. Then again, we're not sure. He started this game. Carpenter has come in. And the best pass has been thrown by Cross. 3rd and 8 now from the 18.
Oops.
And there's some movement.
You know, it's funny. He knew he made a mistake there at 68 for Perth Amboy. And he sort of just got up, and then the flag was thrown after he got up. Adolfo Lara.
With the penalty of moving back to the 22, where it'll be 3rd and 12. Back to the I formation.
Well,
Carpenter over the middle. He's got his man.
He's got a
touchdown. Perth Amboy. That's Valera, number 81.
Well, Carpenter can throw, Phil.
Well, you know.
It wasn't an artistic pass.
I'll tell you, it was either an awful nice touch pass or either.
Well, somebody was burned for East Brunswick, too. But who was that? 81 on the reception?
Valera.
Valera, yeah.
And we're going to see an extra point by Borkowski, number 2. Carpenter will hold. Score makes it 9-12 in favor of the Panthers. And it looks like a procedure call.
And that appeared as it was going to be a fake extra point attempt. Appears they were going to run for it or pass for it.
So a back and forth game to this point. The Panthers on top 12-9. Borkowski making it, or trying to make it 13, and he misses it. I thought maybe he caught it over, but it'll remain at 12-9.
And East Brunswick is within field goal distance at least on this. Well, the defense is a little dejected. Thought they had made a good stand there, but Carpenter was able to thread the needle through the middle.
Well, interestingly enough, 3 of the big 4 plays for Perth Amboy tonight have come through the air.
Have come through the air. Of course, the big play in this drive was the pass from
Cross.
Darryl Cross. And then Carpenter finally comes through with a nice pass to Valera, who's 6 feet tall.
And a critical play to begin this was the roughing the kicker.
That's right.
With a 4th and about at least 25 yards to go.
Well, we have 4:17 left in the 3rd period. East Brunswick trailing by 3, 12-9. We'll get the ball on offense with Pilato and Castanelli back deep as Lopez will kick it off for, well, they have a different kicker. This is Orocho.
No onside there.
Pilato off his chest, but he's able to hold on to it, has a hole.
Ooh.
And a good return as Pilato up close to the 45-yard line, just short.
Bears again with good field position.
Well, Jerry Janczek is trying everyone at different positions tonight. Kickers, quarterbacks. He may not win the excuse me. He may not win the game, but he'll know who can play what position. Full house, here we go. Up the gut, as they say. Not sure, we'll see as they unpile.
There he is.
There it is, and it's Rulo, number 40, on the carry. Picks up 2. Call it about 2nd and 8. Ball on the East Brunswick 47. 3:25 left, 3rd period. White will keep it.
Good turn.
He'll be pulled down right at midfield.
Well, it was a good play in the sense that if he had elected to pitch out, Amboy had it covered.
With Cross.
So, yeah, all right. So he gets about 3 yards out of the play.
Let's call it 3rd and 5. Right at midfield. White drops the ball, and Perth Amboy has it.
Well, John, we mentioned it at the beginning of the half. The Bears have to avoid those turnovers. They had 3 the first half, and here comes the 4th at a.
Right, and White has to not become dejected about this. I mean, these are things that are going to happen with this play, and he has a tendency to get down on himself. He gets upset and he gets emotional, and that can affect his play.
Well, I'll tell you, Marcus Borden did the right thing. Gave him a nice pat as he walked off, because he knows you can't install the wishbone and expect them not to have turnovers early on.
Watch for Amboy to go to the air early, I would think.
From the East Brunswick 47, 1st and 10. Carpenter rolls left. Looking, puts it up in the air. He's got a man, and off Johnson's hands. He was open.
I'll tell you, and it hit him in a bad place, the hands. Hit him right in the hands. The young man wasn't able to hold on to it.
Right. Well, there's a little bit of a couple of drops now we've noticed. And I don't know if moisture, of course, on this field, we've noticed in the past that as the second half rolls around, and the field tends to get a little slick.
So are you saying that the field brings us rain, Jim?
Yeah, I think he put his hands on the ground, and that got him wet. Okay, Phil?
Okay.
2nd and 10. Split backfield for the Panthers. Johnson wide left.
Boy, what happened to the line on that one?
And Carpenter will take it. It'll be dropped.
Well, the only two
Bernardi.
players on the field that knew that snap was the center and the quarterback, because the rest of the line froze.
It'll be interesting to see if Jerry Janczek continues to go after Pilato, number 42, with Johnson.
It's a good matchup, I'll tell you what.
Clock down to 1:45 here in the 3rd period.
Boy, that's a straight one-on-one, man-to-man coverage right there.
Now they put Leonard out there on Johnson. And Carpenter drops straight back. Throwing deep. He hangs it up there for Johnson. Incomplete. It would have been out of bounds.
Ronald Johnson's showing something there, trying to keep his feet in bounds and make the catch at the same time.
Yep.
And Rich Pilato playing good defense, avoid the interference.
So it'll be 4th and 13 for the Panthers. Lopez is in. Apparently he'll keep the punting duties.
So East Brunswick dodges a bullet for the moment.
Pilato and Casanelli back. Good snap this time. Nice kick by Lopez. Pilato will let it go. And it'll roll inside the 10-yard line. And East Brunswick will be deep in its own territory on offense.
Well, when you're standing on inside your 20 there,
Yeah, you got to make the catch.
if the ball doesn't have some movement on it.
Right. Well, there was some miscommunication between Casanelli and Pilato. They were talking to each other after the play. You know, it's the old routine. If somebody's going to make the catch, the other player will call him and tell him what to do.
All right, the Bears come out on their own 7.
Can't
1st and 10.
John can't afford a turnover here, no doubt.
Straight handoff this time. Pilato on the carry.
That's his
Picks up
first,
1.
Yeah, that's his first carry.
White calling signals. Keeps it, rolls to his left, has an opening. Close to the 15-yard line.
And that could be the last play of the quarter, John.
25 seconds remain.
Charles Smith on the tackle there.
Official timeout.
All right.
Carpenter on defense having some equipment problems.
Right.
You see him with his helmet off, number 11. And here we go, 19 seconds.
So they will get this play off.
3rd and 3 from the East Brunswick 15.
Kind of an important play here.
And another fumble, a bad exchange between the center and quarterback.
Looks like White was on it, but that's going to kill the opportunity for the first down.
And that'll end the third period. So at the end of 3 here at J. Doyle Field, the Bears trail 12-9.
Boy, Troy's just beside himself. He's talking to his center. Apparently there's a little bit of a miscommunication on the center snap.
And I tell you, you got to expect that. You remember Matt Pazinko, the regular center, went out last week with an injury, and probably no 2 positions on the field are as crucial with communication as the center and the quarterback, and take some adjustment. So it's going to take a while.
Right. Well, these guys need encouragement right now. They're gosh, 12-9 is one score and you're on top again. So, and you got a whole quarter to go. Staley's going to be back to punt, has shown that he can get off a good kick, and he'll have to do it at this point right now. Interesting game. It's been close.
It's been close, and it's been competitive. So it's up for grabs.
Certainly up for grabs. It may rest on a turnover. We'll start the last 12 minutes of this game. East Brunswick's second home game. They won here against Saraville 23-0. Staley will kick it right from the goal line.
Good snap. That's a good kick.
Ball bounding around close to the East Brunswick 45-yard line, and Perth Amboy will have good field position.
I didn't think Drew got all of it, but didn't get a run back. So under those conditions, it was more than adequate. And East Brunswick's just going to have to button up here and do the job.
Again, the burden will fall on East Brunswick defense. Panthers will have it 1st and 10 from the East Brunswick 44. Start of the 4th and final period here. Irizarry and Cross in the backfield behind Carpenter. This is Cross, needs a block, gets outside, and he picks up about 7 yards.
Oh, that was a quick pitch. They wanted to get Darrell outside, let him utilize his speed.
Let's see if they come back to the opposite side of the field with the pitch to Cross.
2nd and 4. Ball now at the East Brunswick 38. Luck in motion.
Ooh.
Cross has the first down.
Oh, gosh.
And one saving tackle, Pilato, I believe, or he was in for 6.
Now we're starting to see some of that Darrell Cross running ability.
Well,
those were tough yards.
It's been very right, up the middle, hard fought yards. And you're right, if Mike Pilato doesn't make that tackle, he's gone.
So East Brunswick, needless to say, has to hold him here.
1st and 10, the ball on the East Brunswick 22. Luck is wide left. Johnson to the right. This is Cross, big hole.
Boy, he sure did have a hole.
Picks up near 8 yards.
This is the 4th quarter, and looking at the past, it was East Brunswick that was the team that seemed to be rejuvenated. But in this drive right here, Perth Amboy is the one with the surge.
I think it has something to do with size. I think the larger Perth Amboy offensive line is starting to wear down the much lighter East Brunswick defensive line.
Cross picks up 7. It's 2nd and 3 from the 15. Down to 9:40, 4th period. Panthers on top, 12-9. Pitched left. This is Cross. And he's pushed down to about the line of scrimmage.
Right, credit Craig Borgen coming up from his defensive back slot to stop that play, allowing the rest of the defense to converge. And we have important plays coming up here. 3rd and about 4 yards, John. Maybe, yeah, about 4 yards. They have to stop him here.
Well, I think this is 2-down territory for Perth Amboy. We've
Right.
seen they don't have a place kicker. If they do, he's hiding. But they come out in an I formation.
There's Johnson on the right side alone.
One-on-one. And it's cross. And I think he's got the first down.
Yeah. Boy, the Amboy offensive line suddenly doing the job.
Suddenly blown out, and all of a sudden Cross is becoming a workhorse. I mean, we've seen him scat on numerous occasions, but he's actually running like a workhorse right now, picking up that hard yardage.
Has Amboy lost the ball on a turnover tonight, Phil? Does anybody recall? You know, that's something that used to plague them over the years, and not this year.
Well, 6 last game, Jimmy.
1st and 10 from the 10. Cross again. He may lose a yard on that.
Yeah, okay, I'll revise that. You're right, that was Madison Central game. Somebody down for Amboy, by the way.
I'll tell you, Anthony Billings came up awful nice for East Brunswick there, number 20.
Right. But I have to think that that's a factor with tonight's game.
Well, I said at the top of the game that Jerry Yonchuk had to avoid the turnovers. You can't have 5 and 6 turnovers in a game and expect to win, much less stay in a game. They've avoided the turnovers tonight, and thus far it's made a difference.
We don't know who it is that's down for Perth Amboy.
48, perhaps? Thought I caught number 48 for Perth Amboy.
That would be Javier Irizarry,
Very good.
who is the lead blocker for Cross tonight, or has been in majority of the plays. Perth Amboy will have a 2nd and 10 from the 10-yard line. No gain on that last play by Cross. And it is Irizarry. And so Mitchell will come in.
Shuttling in and out here. Well, you think this is a Darryl Cross play?
I think you got to give it to your money.
They put Cross in motion. Inside handoff, Mitchell.
Interesting call.
Bring up a 3rd down. Let's call it 3rd and 8.
You know, I don't even know if Amboy, even if, you know, if they don't make this, would even consider a field goal, even though they're close. Number one, because they don't have a field goal kicker, but number two, it would only give them a 6-point margin.
Timeout, East Brunswick.
Oh, why?
And Borden is wondering who called timeout.
Boy, you don't want to call timeout.
Well, he's saying Marcus is saying Perth Amboy must have called timeout because he certainly didn't.
Now, let's see.
Unless one of the players from East Brunswick, the captain, called it.
That it is. But you got to ask why. You know, you get 3 timeouts per half, and oftentimes, if you're trying to stop a drive or continue a drive, you just have to have 3 timeouts to keep it going.
Well, the clock is stopped with 7:25. Perth Amboy, rather, will be facing a 3rd and 7 from the 7.
And that last play, they sent Dow Cross in motion and then ran a quick off tackle. It'd be interesting to see if they send him in motion again and do something off it.
Right. Because not only you have Darryl Cross as a receiver, but you have Johnson out there. We've already seen 81 Valera catch one. Carpenter can get the ball in the air. But perhaps the difference in this half, East Brunswick was getting to Guzman in the first half, sacking him a couple times, you know, just disrupting the offense. That has not been the case. They have not gotten to Carpenter. And we can't forget Luck, number 12.
Here we go, 3rd and 7. And And Valera's in there at tight end. Cross in motion to the right, and the movement, I believe, by delay. I'm sorry.
Unusual in that you don't really see that off a timeout, but the 25-second clock nonetheless starts when a referee, brings his hand down to signal that play is in.
But you're right, Jimmy. They just came off a timeout, and it's
hard to take.
Really?
Yeah.
But our notion, cross going in motion, and you got to believe they're going to do something this time to get the ball to him once he goes in motion.
Yeah, Janček is on the sidelines. He's mad at the official.
That'll make it 3rd and 12 from the 12. They move back. Cross will go in motion to the right. Carpenter will roll right. Camera on him.
Oh.
Touchdown.
He's in.
Cross.
Darryl Cross. And there's, Pilato was tried to come over there to cover that. Billings was also there a little late. And that's going to be a tough lead now to overcome.
And look at this, Jimmy.
Well, we've seen it before, quite frankly.
Perth Amboy looking to add the 19th point. Borowski.
And off the goalpost.
Will be no good, and it stays at 18.
Corner kick.
Well, no, I'm laughing because you got to wonder, obviously that's designed to disrupt the defensive team, but you got to believe it's just as disruptive to the offensive kicking team. A whole team lines up on one side, and then they move in their normal positions, and then you got to get set and kick the extra point. It's got to be as disruptive to the offense. So
I think the rationale behind it, Phil, is to allow the kicker a clear vision of the goalpost, but Borowski certainly, his vision is below the goalpost. I think he's coming off the soccer field, and no disrespect to the young man, but
anyway, East Brunswick's down by 9 points, more than a touchdown, with a little over 7 minutes, John, and that's a difficult situation for them considering the point production that they've been able to manufacture this year. So now we do ask the question, do you go with the wishbone or do you go with a hurry up offense at this point?
Well, you need 2 scores.
Right.
This will be Casanelli at the 18. Kind of walks his way across the 40 rather. And East Brunswick again, excellent field position.
Well, I tell you, you can expect to see the trips quite a bit. The Bears need 2 scores, and they're going to put it up.
1st and 10 from their own 43. East Brunswick trailing 18-9.
Troy White, shotgun, John.
3 receivers to the left, and White will roll that way.
Whoa.
I don't know if that was batted down near the line of scrimmage.
Well, he sidearmed the pass. White does release the ball quickly, but perhaps sometimes the receivers aren't ready for it.
Again, the shotgun. 3 receivers to the left. White looking.
Oh,
there should be an interference. Sure. It is. Camera is knocked down by number 20, Jimenez. That should be an automatic 1st down. 6:43. And so they'll move the chains. 1st down, East Brunswick. That'll put East Brunswick into Perth Amboy territory.
And the trips went on the wrong side.
Shotgun, 3 wide left. Davis by himself on the right. White being pressured, looking, sets and throws off the hands of Tenora. Second and 10.
Well, East Brunswick goes back to the huddle now. No, I'll take. They're coming to the line. Here we go.
Ball at the Perth Amboy 42.
The Amboy wasn't ready for that.
White looking, he's gonna go for Davis in the right side. Davis is free, he's got it, touchdown!
And Ronell Johnson puts his hands on his knees. I don't know what he was thinking on that, Phil.
I don't know what he's thinking either. R.J. Davis with a nice catch. There was a little incidental contact there, I tell you. The officials didn't call it either way, and R.J. just ran under the ball and took it in.
42-yard pass. Troy just lofts it in the air, just looking for the advantage on that, and Johnson gave it to him.
Well, you had to wonder when they were coming Johnson's side. He had single coverage. He's had it all night on that side, and particularly in that shotgun formation. And it looked like Johnson played the ball rather than the man.
Right, and East Brunswick will go definitely for the 1 point here. That's all they need to bring it to within 2.
18-15, Carnes to make it 16 for East Brunswick. And he does that. So it's a 2-point advantage for the Panthers with 6:28 to go.
So East Brunswick breathes new life back in the ball game here, and they did quickly.
They did it quickly.
Yeah. 6:28.
Just a very big play.
Yeah.
R.J. Davis, his real name is Roy Davis, named after his dad, Roy, who is an officer with the quarterback club and does a fine job.
An organization that has been quite helpful to us over the years.
This has really turned out to be an interesting game. 4 touchdowns in the second half here.
Interesting if you're a fan, probably one of those stomach upsets for a coach.
Both of them. So East Brunswick will look to pin Amboy deep in its own territory and let the defense go to work. They've been having a little bit of trouble in the second half. Nice
Good kick.
Boot. Nice boot.
Carnes, that'll be cross from the 10. Cross taken down just short of the 30.
Right. Tackle there by Billings.
Billings has had some nice hits today.
Right.
That's second big tackle for the young man.
Well, we'll see what Perth Amboy can roll out here with 6:19. Holding on to a very slim 2-point lead, 18-16. And this may be cross left, cross right.
It'll be interesting to see the risk factor.
Right.
I formation. And it's cross up the middle.
Whoa.
Bounces to the outside.
Ooh.
Who catches him there? Boy, that was
Tackle by
Casanelli.
Casanelli.
Yeah.
Pat Casanelli.
That had the year, you know, you thought this was going to go a ways, and Casanelli somehow catches up with Cross.
I'll tell you, Cross hit into the line, bounced off to the outside, and Casanelli came out of nowhere to make the tackle.
All that, he picks up about 2 yards. It's 2nd and 8. Ball spotted at the Perth Amboy 30. And Casanelli has been providing great support on defense, coming up from that cornerback position, if you will.
Okay, Bears have to stop him here.
Carpenter rolls, is gonna keep it. He's got some running room. First down.
Stop out of bounds.
Around the 45-yard line.
I'll tell you, an important first down for the Panthers. Carpenter, nice run in there, but he's not going to win any track meet either. He sort of lopes along there, but he did pick up that all-important first down.
Carpenter certainly helping East Brunswick by going out of bounds. 5:08. First and 10, the ball at the Perth Amboy 45. Carpenter looking. He's going to keep, steps upfield. He'll pick up 5.
Oh, flag is thrown for a late hit.
Rulo's going to be called.
I'll tell you what. It's a situation where you could throw a flag, but it wasn't a blatant hit. Why throw the flag?
Personal foul, East Brunswick.
And Marcus Borden just sort of rolls his eyes. It's been the type of call that East Brunswick has had called on it all in the previous 3 games, and I have to tell you, it's not necessary.
You're saying, Jim, a call that can go either way?
Either way, it just all right. He banged on him, okay, but it wasn't where he really just attempted to hit. He could have been coming off a block or whatever.
That'll give the Panthers 1st and 10 now on East Brunswick 34.
It's
4:50 to go.
I'm sorry, it's strictly a reaction call by the official. You really can't blame him.
Cross dropped in the backfield, maybe back to the line of scrimmage, and that'll be it.
And that's Anthony Billings again. I'll tell you, 5'7", 165-pound junior, and he's looking good. And you got to remember, gentlemen, when you think about it, a lot of these names we're calling tonight, we didn't have a chance to call last year. So this is a relatively new team. They haven't had the experience because that other crew played for 3 years together.
Cross loses a yard, 2nd and 11. Ball on the East Brunswick 35. 4 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, clock's a factor now.
Here comes Cross. He's got a blocker. Stays in bounds.
Yes, he does stay in bounds.
As he crosses the 30-yard line to bring up an important 3rd down.
And Scott Kammerer and Teddy Lung on the tackle there. Cross following his blockers nicely.
Phil, I think you bring up a good point. 2 points particularly. One is that these are young players. Many of them seen varsity experience for the first time. Second of all, we can't get down too hard on this team when you consider that during the Forte years, East Brunswick did not win the county championship. So maybe we're expecting too much of these young guys.
I hear you, John.
3rd and 4. Big down for the Panthers. Ball on East Brunswick 28. Who else but Cross? He bulls forward. It's going to be close.
Looks like he's got it, John.
I believe he does.
They're going to bring out the chains.
Brunswick has not been able to stop
I'll tell you,
this half.
This will be very close.
They're not even going to bring out the chains. They're saying he's short.
That was an interesting mark.
Timeout, Perth Amboy.
Why are they calling timeout?
Because it's 4th and 1 on the East Brunswick 25.
I guess Jerry Yonchek wanted to be very sure about this call.
If we can get a shot at Jerry Yonchek in the huddle with the team for Perth Amboy. We've talked about Marcus Borden and the job that he's done, but Phil, Jerry Yonchek has really changed the attitude, if nothing else, over at Perth Amboy.
That he has. Jerry's always been a likable coach, even here at East Brunswick, and he's done a super job at Perth Amboy. Of course, Jerry still lives here in East Brunswick, and his wife, Joanne, teaches at Warndorfer, so he would like nothing better than to come away with the win tonight.
And there you see Jerry emerging from the huddle.
Big call.
4th and 1, 3 minutes and 1 second left in the game. Ball on the East Brunswick 25. The Panthers in the lead, 18-6. That's 18-16 rather.
And you got to believe Carpenter's going to keep it himself.
And he does.
Boy.
And he uses all of that 6'1" to pick up the 1st down.
I'll tell you what, he's been the difference as far as Amboy's offense the second half. And now they can, well, East Brunswick's perhaps going to have to make some decisions about timeouts.
They have 2 remaining. Clock down to 2:45. Perth Amboy coming out rather quickly. I formation. Quick pitch to
out.
Cross,
High
left
risk
side.
ball.
Cross holds on to it,
He
gets
stays
down
in
to the
bounds.
20.
And he stays in bounds.
Yeah.
I tell you, I heard you, Jimmy. I'm surprised they pitched the ball. You really want a low-risk offense here because basically what you want to do is control the ball and run some time off the clock.
Moving down to the 2-minute. Mark, and there we are. As Perth Amboy comes out of the huddle with a 2nd and 10. Cross getting back to the line of scrimmage. Cross inside, protecting that ball.
Timeout has to be called here.
And East Brunswick will call it with 1:42 left.
And Todd Petchar with a solid tackle there.
No gain on the play.
Well, I'll tell you, it's gut check time. What you got to look for is a turnover here. You're trying to get a turnover. You're trying to do anything you can to get back in the game. So the East Brunswick defense is being told to tackle hard, go for that ball if you can, because they certainly need a turnover. They need control of the ball.
Phil, do you risk shooting your linebackers through gaps and taking that chance at this point?
I think you got to take a chance. I think you got to, no risk, no gain probably. It's you can't let them control it.
So Bears took that timeout. We assume they have one left.
3rd and 10 for Perth Amboy. The ball resting on the East Brunswick 21. Carpenter rolling. He'll hold it.
All right.
He's going to be dropped for a loss of about 5 yards.
Yeah, got to call it right there.
And I tell you, that's just the type tackle you want. 2 men hitting them from either side and hopefully putting your head where that ball is.
Timeout East Brunswick, and we believe it to be the last timeout with 1:32 now left. Keep in mind, East Brunswick has moved the ball in that shotgun offense.
Okay, Borden is talking now with Troy White on the sideline, thinking, of course, this is all contingent on the Bears stopping Perth Amboy on this last play here. With the ball clocking, with the clock stopping on the exchange of possession, Perth Amboy will likely throw this in the air.
If I could quickly run down the scoring, East Brunswick came on top on a safety, 2-0. Perth Amboy in the 2nd quarter came back with a 46-yard touchdown score, Guzman to Johnson to make it 6-2. In the 3rd period, Troy White hit long on a 43-yard pass connection. East Brunswick on top at that point, 9-6. Later on in that same period, a 22-yard pass, Carpenter to Valare, put Perth Amboy on top, 12-9. And then Carpenter to Cross in the 4th period, making it 18-9, and then White to Davis. And that's where we're at now, 18-16 with 1:32 and a 4th and 14 for the Panthers. Ball on the East Brunswick 24. Carpenter is going to put it in the air. And no penalty, close call there, but East Brunswick will take over.
It was close.
Mercy.
It could have been called.
You lose one, you win one, and East Brunswick won on that one.
And Jerry Jonchuk flips his hat up because he thought there should have been a call there.
Now he's coming out on the field, so apparently Amboy calls timeout. And maybe a break for East Brunswick in that they can sort of gather themselves. Plays were called, but maybe Marcus wants to reevaluate the situation.
Well, I tell you, Jerry Jonchuk is out there right now, and the thing that he's doing is making sure each man has their assignment for those trips, whether they ride up on the left or right, making sure each man, and it has to be man-to-man coverage.
If we look back over to the East Brunswick huddle, you'll see Marcus Borden, and he's basically laying out for the offense the strategy he'd like to employ.
Yeah. By the way, that is not Jerry Onchek that we saw. That's the defensive coordinator for Perth Amboy.
You're right.
If we can set the stage for you, there's 1:26 left. It's 1st and 10 for East Brunswick on their own 24. They trail 18-16. And as far as we can tell, and according to our records, East Brunswick does not have any timeouts left.
Right. And another thing to keep in mind, Carnes is a good field goal kicker, so it's not necessary for East Brunswick to score a touchdown.
3 receivers to the right this time. White will probably roll that way, and he does. Being pressured, puts it up in the air, intercepted by number 53.
Yeah.
And that's Morales.
Well, he was waiting for it. And that is it for East Brunswick this evening.
Well, we talked about the defensive coverage, the man-to-man, calling the timeout to make sure that they had their man, and they did the job.
Yep. It looked like it was going to be developing for a moment there.
Minute 11.
And with no timeouts, Amboy can just run the clock out here. Another tough defeat for East Brunswick, gentlemen.
Well, it ain't over yet. Inside a minute. And we have an offsides there. Johnson wants to head to the bus.
I thought it was on count 2, Coach.
I tell you, Jerry Yonchuk is probably reaching for the Rolaids right now. I'm like, give me a break. Doesn't hurt.
54 seconds, and the rain is starting to come down a little bit heavier now.
And the clock starts. That's right. Falls on it this time. No pitch, Phil.
Down to 32 seconds.
So this is a tough defeat for East Brunswick. If you want to look at it on the bright side, you're seeing a lot of, a little bit more offensive display than we saw certainly the previous week against Edison. But still, East Brunswick's going to have to check itself and make some adjustments. And looks like they're going to, I think.
That'll do it.
Yeah. Nope, the officials
delay of game.
Playing his role here. Walk it back 2 feet, and that means Amboy's going to have to run another play.
Before this game ends, just quickly, your Marcus Borden, what do you get out of this game? Where do you go from here?
You're Marcus Borden, you keep on keeping on. You go back with your troops, and they've been very competitive today, John. Marcus Borden, I talked to him last week. He has things in perspective. He knows what he's working with, and he's going to try to get the best out of these young men. Right. As I said, this is their first varsity experience for many of these players, and they've been competitive each time out. So he's just going to try to get them improve a little bit each week. That's all you can do.
It was a good game. I was again, an entertaining game for the fans. And East Brunswick was able to come back and score that touchdown, get them back in it. And that's what you look for in situations like this. They could have easily hung their heads. And White is getting a little bit more comfortable in the quarterback position. He did have a couple of turnovers tonight, but still in all, you have to get your experience as each passing game goes by.
This will do it. We need a snap of the ball. Carpenter goes down. That'll do it. East Brunswick's record will fall to 1-3. Perth Amboy improves to 2-1.
And Jerry Yonchuk is being hoisted on the shoulders of his players. They knew what a big game this was for Jerry. They want to win it for him, and it couldn't happen to a nicer fella, I'll tell you.
And it was a well-played game by Perth Amboy.
Certainly.
Oh, yeah, they're pleased.
And they didn't turn the ball over, and that was the key, Phil. You mentioned that at the top of the show.
They had to avoid the turnovers.
Uh-oh, there goes the
Gatorade.
The Gatorade goes over top of them.
Well, as you see the teams congratulate one another, we'll close out our broadcast of tonight's game. The final, Perth Amboy 18, East Brunswick 16. For Jim Allinder and Phil Hill, I'm John Meggiolaro, hoping that you'll join us for our next East Brunswick football game.